The subsiding of the mind means the idea of multiplicity of objects vanishes and the idea of oneness of objects appears. When that is achieved, everything appears natural. Well, there's no idea of oneness. I mean, there is just the oneness. So we could say when the subsiding of the mind means the idea of, we don't get caught, we're not caught up in the idea of multiplicity of objects anymore, and we realise, we come back to that sense of primordial being, and when that is achieved, everything appears natural. Or we could say it appears, we're in touch with what is real, and we operate from a newfound sense of harmony. So how does this help? I don't think this is explained particularly beautifully. I'll just finish off what Swami Venkatesananda has to say though. He says, perhaps a better translation for the word akash is dimension. The same infinite consciousness is known as cidakasa, cittakasa and bhutakasa, viewed from the spiritual, mental, conceptual in brackets, and physical dimension respectively. So there's only one thing here. That one thing can appear as the primordial being, this primordial state of being, or it can appear as all the as a physical world, basically. I would say that the middle one, cittakasa, is really the attention. Swami Venkatesananda says we've got the spiritual, we could call the spiritual as that primordial sense of being, which is how I've always used the word spiritual. It's to do with the ultimate sense of being. Within that arises this sense, the cognitive process, and I would call cittakasa, although it's stretching the meaning, I would call that the attention. This attention can move between objects or notions, and it can move towards itself, which is the state of primordial being. The distinction between the physical world and ideas that the translators made here isn't particularly helpful, because they're all part of the same constructed world, whether we believe in physical objects or concepts or ideas. These are all things that can hijack our attention. So that our attention can be turned towards ideas, it can be turned towards objects in the physical world, or it can be turned towards itself. And this is the contrast that we've got here between the cidakasa, which is consciousness. That is when we can turn the cittakasa to the cidakasa, or we can turn the cidakasa to the bhutakasa. So I think although it's not quite the meaning here, it's a more helpful way of thinking about it. So that's possibly not very helpful, but you might just want to forget about all that. But I think it does reflect the basic situation, and this is what gets expanded on in the rest of the Yoga Vasistha.